Howdy, Scott Paulson here, founder of Paulson Coaching and the Sales Sherpa program to guide your sales to new heights. So, what exactly is the Sales Sherpa program? Well, a Sales Sherpa program increases revenues for qualified small and mid-sized businesses by 50% or more in a 60 to 90-day window using their existing sales team. And we accomplish this using our proprietary three-stage approach. In the first stage, we'll optimize your sales process. We'll capture your existing practices using a simplified process mapping technique. And the goal here is to identify inefficiencies, or what we call dead ends, which are those interactions with a buyer where the salesperson just doesn't know what to do next. Now, there's usually 5 to 10 of these dead ends in most small and mid-sized businesses' sales processes, and they can account for as many as 70% of their lost sales. However, as we're streamlining a company's sales process, we want to make sure that it meshes well with their overall selling framework. And we usually evaluate this framework in relation to 4 different elements. The first is the buyer's journey. And we use the traditional AIDA model because it's very well known. It's been around for about 150 years, and it's very flexible and adaptable to just about any organization. Now, the attention stage is where we attract the attention of buyers. This is usually tied directly to a product or a service, or even the buyer's awareness of a problem that they're facing or a need that they might have. And once we have the buyer's attention, their interest needs to be piqued, kept, and increased. And from there, the buyer moves from general interest into a desire to learn more, and then finally into the final A of taking an action, which in this framework brings them into contact with a salesperson, which is where the sales process begins. And in a simplistic sales process like this one, we want to capture every detail about what salespeople are doing to either generate leads or qualify incoming leads. We also want the details on how they're making their sales presentations, how they're handling buyer resistance, closing their buyers, and retaining them as customers. Now, the next part of the framework is the sales pipeline and how well it quantifies the number of buyers at each stage in the sales process and helps salespeople manage how they're moving through it. And then the final piece of the framework is the selling methodology, which is the skills that salespeople use both strategically and tactically to move their buyers through the sales process and on to becoming paying customers. Now, that's the first week of the Sales Sherpa program. In week 2, you'll complete the second phase of the Sales Sherpa program, which is to train methodology. Now here, we train your salespeople on their new streamlined process combined with the best selling methodology that fits that process. And it begins with how salespeople conduct the perfect discovery with their buyers and identifying their needs, because all human behavior is initiated by the arousal of a need. And, at any given time, you and me and every human on the face of this planet has more than one need going on inside of our brain. We have physiological needs like the need to eat, the need to drink, the need to rest. We also have, business needs, career needs. Think about it. I've got a need to get more customers, make sure that my employees are paid on time. And then we've got these personal needs going on as well. I've got to get by the grocery store, pick up the dry cleaning, pet the dog, hug the wife, and make sure the kid's tuition is paid. So which one of those needs do I ever take an action on? Well, it's the one that's been energized and established as a priority. And only after we know how to establish that priority and make sure that our buyers are mentally ready to hear our ideas to solve their problems, only then can we move into the stage where we are actually presenting our solutions. Now, if we do this correctly as a lock and key approach, as opposed to the spaghetti jumble test where we're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping that it sticks, then we will actually be able to move into the next phase, which is the low stress or no stress closing, which we call implementation. And then, we're not just doing this because we want to close sales, but, we want to have business to business relationships. It is easier to keep a customer than it is to continually go out and get new customers. And if we do all of this, then we will have a strategic competitive advantage over our competition, and selling becomes a great and easy thing. Now, that's week 2 of the program. Week 3 from then on is, that's usually completed within a week. The third phase and the final phase of the Sales Sherpa program, we're going to coach your salespeople for continued success. Now, in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, he states that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So because we're introducing both new process and new skills for your salespeople to put into practice, we're going to conduct regular coaching sessions with the salespeople, with your sales team, not for 21 days, but for 45 days. We want to make sure that all these new practices become habit. We want to habituate all of these practices. Now, what does that produce for our customers? I like to call it a tale of two metrics. And I use this hypothetical company here that's generating about $1 million in net sales, has about 20% in profit margin. So it's got a net profit of right around $200,000. Now it has average salespeople. And according to international best studies, I think it's Gartner does this great study every few years on hundreds of thousands of salespeople. They categorize all these salespeople into one of two categories, either high performers or average performers. The criteria for being a high performer is very simple. Make quota all the time, 100% of the time, okay? Only about 26 or 27% of salespeople actually make that. The rest of them are thrown into the average performer category. Average performers make quota 52% of the time. 1 month they're up, 1 month they're down. 1 quarter they're making their target, the next quarter they're below it, okay? And they have a win rate of 40%. They're closing 4 out of 10 deals. Now, because of that, what we want to do as a result of this program is actually improve average sales performance into that realm of high performers. We want to get them into that 60% that high performers always close. And think about it. Instead of only closing 4 out of 10 deals, now they're closing 6 out of 10 deals. So that's not a monumental improvement. However, it does have a very substantial effect on that net sales number. All other things being equal, if they have the same number of leads, same average deal size, net revenue, net sales for that company will go up to about $1.5 million if they just start closing 2 more out of 10 deals, okay? Now, that $1.5 million in revenues at a same 20% profit margin would give a net profit of $300,000. However, I love talking about this margin capture thing because margin capture is like the icing on the cake. Margin capture represents the number of deals that salespeople sell at full price. So average salespeople who have a margin capture of 56%, they are selling 56% of their deals at full price, or think about it this way, they're discounting 44% of their deals. So they're selling on price. They're discounting 44% of their deals, but they're only closing 40% of them. They're selling on price. They run into resistance. Guess what? They discount. And high performers, however, know how to sell on value, and margin capture proves that because their margin capture jumps to 75%, which means they're only discounting 25% of the deals. And again, all other things being equal, that will have an effect on profit margin. It'll bump up a little bit. Profit margin goes from 20% up to about 25%, and that net profit, instead of being $300,000, is now $375,000. That's an 88% increase in profit off of a 50% increase in sales. And yes, your sales department can accomplish this. Now, let me tell you a few things about what it does do. This is what the Sales Sherpa program delivers to its customers. Increased sales, of course. You're going to get 50% or more in the next 60 to 90 days. And we do it in a number of ways. So let me tell you what we don't do. Number one, we're not firing people. We're not the kind of consulting firm that walks into a client and says, hey, fire your worst performer, hire somebody new. That takes way too long. It takes me 30 to 60 days to recruit and hire a new sales candidate. And then from there, it can take, 90 days or 120 days or even more to get them ramped up. You won't know if that new salesperson is delivering the results you need for maybe a year. Also, we're not going to do any new hiring. We're not the consulting firm that says, hey, if you want to double your sales, double the number of salespeople you have. Again, that takes way too long. It could take up to a year or more to see the results, but it's also very expensive. The average cost of onboarding a salesperson can be as high as $65,000 to $70,000. And if you want to pay that for your salespeople just to have a chance to maybe get more sales, then you better have some deep pockets. Also, we're not going to advise you to start upgrading your tech stack, upgrade to the latest, greatest CRM, throw in a sales enablement platform, let's get a content management system. That only adds to your cost structure, and it does not give you the promise of increasing your sales. And then lastly, we're not going to tell you to add your marketing expense. There's plenty of digital marketers out there whose wisdom is if you want to double sales, double your leads. And if you want to double your leads, double your marketing spend. Well, guess what? That's not us. What we're going to do is we identify what's broken quickly and we fix it quickly. And that's how we're able to generate the results in a short period of time. All right, so what's next? What do you do now? Now, there are 4 ways that you can implement any change to your business. The fastest method of implementing your new selling process, the Sales Sherpa program, is also the most expensive. We can bring a team of marketing and sales gurus and get the entire process redesigned, re-engineered for maximum efficiency, and we can do that very quickly. But you know what? The price tag's probably going to make your head spin, and good chance it might explode. So, you start thinking that you're smart, you're successful, you're a hardworking person, you're running a business, you've built it thus far. So you know what? You can probably do it for yourself, and you probably can. But I like to consider myself kind of like a home builder. You want to know how I'm going to do it for your company? I will show you the blueprints. I will give you the instructions. You can go about trying to build your custom house for yourself, and you might be moving into it in a year or two, okay? Or you can have me build it for you, because that's all that I do. And I do it quick, I do it efficiently, and you'll be moving into that house or your brand new sales department in 60 to 90 days. Now, you and your company have to bear the cost of lost opportunities if you start doing this on your own and then you give up to it. This is the do it never, okay? This is what most business owners fall into. They try to do it for themselves. They get halfway down the road. They get distracted by the regular, operations, just life, and the improving the sales department project gets put on the back burner, and then it goes into the do it never category. And that will bring us to the most cost-effective way to implement changes to your sales department and produce the long-lasting results that you want. Here in the do it with us, the cost is minimized, the result is maximized, and you know what? It is done very, very quick. All right, so if you like what you hear, I'm more than happy to speak with you about your department for about 45 minutes on a complimentary diagnostic call. You can talk to me. You will have about, you will come away with about 2 or 3 actionable insights that you can put into practice immediately. Here's what we're going to discuss on this 45-minute call. Number 1, we're going to take a look at where you are right now. What's your current state of affairs? How many clients do you have? What's your lead flow? How much revenue you're generating? What's your average deal size? What's the win rate? Lead generation activities? What's going on? We've got to get the lay of the land before we can prescribe any kind of path forward for you. That's step 1. Step 2 is, where do you feel stuck? Where are things not quite working out right now? Where are you struggling? Where are you not getting the best results that you want? What part of the sales process or system that you're implementing are not quite working out the way that you want them to be? We'll talk about that. And then finally, what's possible? How much revenue could you be generating? How many clients could you be working with? What kind of prices could you be charging for your product or your service? What could your business or your career look like potentially in the future if you were realizing the full potential that you know that you have? All right, so if that sounds good, click the link in the post here, send me an email, carrier pigeon, smoke signals, I don't care. Grab some time on my calendar so we can make sure that this is a good fit for both of us. And then when the time comes, we'll talk. All right. Thanks for watching. God bless, and keep on selling.